Yo, what's up guys? Let's talk about Ellunia once again, or Dimensional Hole in general. The main thing is, currently we have, well, you can buy more of these. Question that a lot of people might have, is it useful? I would say so. I do think that this has the good value, so let me just buy all of those. Even if you're free to play, I would still recommend to do it. And why is that? Well, first of all, I would recommend you to farm Ellunia. I will showcase my team that I recommend people to use, and otherwise on a different version that you could use to make it a bit safe. But have to keep in mind, I would recommend to keep it safe, but this team is very safe because it just does too much damage. So therefore, it still works. But why would I buy these things, or why would I recommend you to spend 600 crystals, which is a lot, to get these energies in? Well, if you're doing it to get 2 ways in, it's absolutely not worth it. It's wasting your energy, it's wasting your crystals, don't do it. But if you're farming one of those R5 dungeons or level 5 dungeons, it is definitely worth it. And what is the main reason that it's worth it? Well, it's just simply where an ancient rune has so much more potential to be an insane rune than a normal rune. And a few examples that I can give, I don't really have good legendary ones, but I have a few that are good on just hero. And heroes are relatively easy to get. In the end, this is a quad roll for me. Like, you can call it not a quad roll, but I call this a quad roll. It counts. 25 plus 6, it is a 31, it hella counts. This one, 25 plus 6, it hella counts. So for that reason, the chances of you getting something that is an improvement rather than just improving your rune depth, like sure, it's never bad to improve your rune depth, but this could be a straight up improvement on something that you don't have already. And there's just a lot of showcases where I would say like, okay, these ancient runes, they do have more potential to be higher than any of your current runes at the moment, which just makes it a lot more interesting to farm for in the first place. So something like this is relatively easier to get on ancient than it is to get on a normal rune, because you just have higher potential of those rolls. Like, you start off a few higher, you have higher, well, you just mainly start off higher, but you also have higher grinds and gems. And that is just really insane. So I do highly recommend everyone to go for these things right now. Main thing is, in the recent patch, they changed it where they only drop 6 stars. Because they only drop 6 stars, drop rate is so much better. They don't give too many legendaries though, but they give a lot of 6 stars heroes. And as I just showed you, a few of those 6-star heroes, that's all you need to get probably something like 31 speed is an upgrade for pretty much everyone. I can guarantee you that much. So those kind of things, I highly recommend to do that. So we established it is recommended to farm these. It is also recommended to farm these rather than the 2As and then craft it from 2As. Sure, you can craft them from 2As, but it is still a lot of runs that you have to do to get one material in for a craft, and your craft can still be a blue, same as here. So in the end, I can guarantee you it is better to farm the level 5 dungeons rather than a 2A dungeon. Sure, a 2A dungeon is a lot easier to farm. You have to keep that in mind. But it is a lot better to farm a level 5 of whatever of the dungeons that you would like to farm. But I'll talk about it, why you have to do Ellunia and not the other ones, in just a second as well. Plus, you're getting the grinds and gems in here right away as well for exactly the types that you do need. Might you say like, okay, but should I not farm the dimensional rift for those grinds if I do the 2As for the runes and then the raid for the grinds? Is an option, but I prefer to only use this dimensional raid thing if you got a monthly reward, and that monthly reward you choose a rune that is not your normal type. And what do I mean with the monthly reward? That is this thing. So this is the monthly reward. Let's say I were to take the rage rune, but I normally don't farm rage gems and grinds. Then I would say, okay, the moment that it is at Karazhan, I farm it a little bit just to get those grinds in. Or let's say you did that for a Swift run, and then you have to go to Calderon. At least I'm pretty sure Calderon is Swift. Let me double check that row. Yeah, that is Swift over there. So for that reason, I would only use it there at that moment. But Ellunia, as I'm farming right now, the Sanctum of Fairy just gives everything that you need. It gives the right runes, the right gems, the right grinds, and you don't have to farm anything else but this. So then we come to the question, why Ellunia and why not go for Lumen? Because Lumen also has will. Or why not go Calderon? Well, the first thing is, let's cross off the line the other ones that are pretty simple to cross off the line. Sanctum, what do we have in Sanctum? Sanctum we have, in Sanctum we have Despair, but there's a better one for Despair. You could go for Fight, but this is, if we count like the usability of these ones, I would say a full for this, half half, so we're like ending at like 2.2 kind of value because the other ones are not that great. So that one, not that great. If you really care only about cleaving and arena offense and those kind of things, I could argue for you going to Forest of the Roaring Beasts. But in the end, everyone does kind of need will runes. So I could argue for this one if you only really care about cleaving and arena offense and those kind of things, and you really don't care about RTA. I could argue for this one or farming this one, but still rather this than Swift. And let me tell you why I don't recommend to farm Swift in here. Can I click on the right one right away? Yep. What do we have in Swift? It is Swift plus 4 crap. Like legit. If those were destroy is maybe okay-ish, but tolerance, crap, shield, barely use it, guard, full crap, and then Swift. But then the thing is like, but what if I get like a quad speed on Ancient and I can get a 37 speed? Well, the odds of that 37 is very low in the first place. But let me give you an example of this one. This rune, it is not super great. It is usable. It's on a Diana. It's on those kind of things. But if this was Swift, it would have been straight up in garbage. And that is the main thing. If this is on this pair, you can still use it on Nanteris or whatever. If it's anything like that, you can still use this. But if this was Swift, it would have been straight up garbage. And that is the main thing that you have to keep in mind. A lot of runes, if you were to get anything on it, like same as this, if this was Swift, was garbage. Was it Will, would have been insane. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind. You're gonna get more overall stats than just speed. Sure, if you get something that's crazy in speed on Will, it is also useful because you still have your offsets. And you can also still use that then on a Fire unit rather than just having to keep it on the Swift unit. So I think Will in the end is way more versatile, where if it rolls anything high, anything good, it is useful, whereas with speed, you're just speed checking. The only thing you're doing is speed checking. Sure, maybe it goes high on crit rate or high attack, you can still kind of use it. But anything high defense, high HP, useless. And that is something that you have to keep in mind. And therefore, since you have a very limited resource to put into Dimensional Hole, I don't recommend to go for Cauldron. Plus the fact Giants is by far the easiest dungeon to clear fast, clear consistent, and clear very safe. So for that reason, I would highly recommend you to go for Will Runes, because Necro is the slowest dungeon, the shittiest dungeon. It doesn't really feel, but it is a really shit dungeon. So then if you can use extra resources to get Will Runes because you're not really farming Necro in most cases, Necro or Will Runes is the way to go. Well, Will Runes, you have two of them, Lumen and Ellunia. Let's first look at Lumen. Lumen, we have Vampire, Energy, Guard, Will, and Destroy. I could argue that some Vampire is kind of okay, some Destroy is kind of okay, but Energy and Guard is straight up not that great. If we check that the other way around on Sanctum of Fairies, and we check the drop table over here, we have Will, really good. We have Despair, really good. I did make the argument that you can get Despair in Giants, but it is the lowest drop rate of Despair in that dungeon, so that is kind of a 50-50-ish, but I would say that Despair and Will together is really good. Plus Nemesis is really good. Of course, Accuracy is not that interesting. Endure is not that interesting, so you have two wasted over here. But the other three are pretty solid, where I would say that there's three good ones on that one and two wasted. And here I would say there's probably two good ones and three wasted, so two beats three. And therefore I would say Lumen is the best. And therefore, I would say Ellunia is simply the best dungeon to farm because it just has like a better drop table. That is just the main thing. Nemesis in the end, if you get some good Nemesis runes, let's say you get like super fast Nemesis runes, really good. You can go for a Swift Nemesis build, which people get caught off guard. Or your Federica, or there's still a whole bunch of units that do use Nemesis these days. So having a good Nemesis set is never bad. Accuracy, I would argue that Accuracy is better than Tolerance. Because I do have a few fast accuracy runes. Putting that on a unit, just making your Mei Wang and your Masha just have that 10 extra crit rate, it can actually help out in some matches. Endure is not really used that much. Endure is the only one that I would say like, yeah, I don't really like it that much. Would be nice if they changed something to the stat, but that is that. So then the question is how to farm Ellunia. Well, since Dimensional Hole energy is limited, I would recommend to make sure that you have like a 99.9% success rate on your team. If you want to go for a slow team with a high success rate, go in for a Feng Yang, Triana, Jasun, and all of those kind of like heavy bruises. Savannah is good at that. All of those heavy bruises that just make this very slow and very safe. I do have another video on that to make like a good slow team. But if you can, you can go for this team. However, I would only go for this team if you have the Sonya. I think the Sonya is pretty much the most interesting over here to make it very consistent and very safe, because she has that passive, and with that passive, she doesn't get that many hits in the first place. Also, the Homunculus is pretty much a must. Teshar is, I would say, arguably replaceable. It's just making the waves faster. But I would highly recommend to make sure whatever team you're doing, make sure it's like 99.9% safe, because otherwise it's just going to fail too much and you're just going to waste your dimensional energy, especially if you're buying those for the extra crystals, then it's just simply a waste. But there's a lot of wind units. In most cases, you do want to go for a wind team where you just do as, just super safe. Once again, Tyrone is okay for that. You have the Feng Yang is okay for that. Ritash is okay for that. All of those kind of bruises that are really good for this, you could use. So let me show you my team in this. Best turn order would be a Prillia moving first, into a Teshar moving second, into the Sonya moving third, into the Homunculus moving fourth. However, I do kind of use the runes that I currently have used on my unit. So the Sonya in this case is the Sonya that I'm using in PC Abyss. So the will runes, of course, not needed. It is damage on light that is not needed. So I could definitely, if I were to farm this and you don't have like a super 100% team, it is good to like min-max the runes just quickly, that you make sure like, okay, at least I should put damage on light or damage on water on all of those and just make it work. That way I think you and Teshar might still have water already. Well, since I'm going to be farming this for a little bit, let's just change that up to a water one. More water, more water, more water. And then just make it work that way. If you were to go for a super safe and slow team turn order, it doesn't really matter too much. As long as they're just tanky enough, they don't die. You have a few ways, like you could even put like an Eladria on there and you have like 3-minute runs or something like that. And then the thing is like, okay, but if I have 3 minutes runs, that's very inconvenient. It's not really helping me at all. Well, the thing is, what you do then is the moment that you know that you're going into a meeting and you can't look at your phone for like about an hour or something, that's where you start a run of 30 of Ellunia. And that is the main reason. Like, there's always going to be that moment where you're like, okay, I could have my phone on, but definitely I don't have the chance to check every 15 minutes or just start a new run every 15 minutes. That's why you just put it on your phone, or even if you're on your PC. There's a lot of people, I do know there's still a lot of people that just leave their PC on when they leave the house. And let's say you're leaving the house for like 4 hours, just start like a run of 30 of Ellunia, something like that. That's definitely the way that if you have a slow team, that you could still get those runs in fairly easily. And it is still highly recommended to go for those buying for those 600, because simply the chance of you getting a rune from your Giants farming or Dragons farming that's better than the runes that you currently have is a lot lower chance than me getting a 7 speed over here, maybe rolling it into a 24, maybe rolling it into something nice. And sure, you're not getting that many legendaries. I'm not entirely sure what the legendary drop rate on these things are yet. I think it's about like 1 or 2 in every set of 30. But even the heroes, like if those heroes just triple roll high, you got like a good rune that is a good improvement, and it's just gonna do so much more for you than just getting another rune that is like normal. And it's like, yeah, it's another like 22 speed, but the max speed that you will give to it is also going to be less, because less of grinds. It just adds more value with ancient runes. It's the ceiling of how good an ancient rune can be. Like even this, if it were to roll, let's say 25 in speed here, could make that a 31 speed. Sure, the subsets on it are not that great, but that could have been a useful rune. And that's the thing, you get a lot of those, like starting with 9, starting with 10. If they just roll decent, they are probably going to be a best in slot. Especially this one, too bad the attack is in there, but okay. Well, if it had that final roll in here as well, and it would have been like 24-ish speed, would have definitely been an upgrade for me. And as for me, I already have pretty decent runes, I would say. So, yeah, that's one of the main reasons I would say just get your ass into Ellunia and do waste your crystals on this. Might you say, but yeah, but say I'm always out of crystals. How the hell am I going to spend 600 crystals on this? I'm free to play. Well, the moment you're out of crystals, you're just going to close your game and you go outside and you touch some grass. I don't know. It's like you don't have to have your game on at all times. Plus, if you're feeling like you're wasting too many crystals, make sure you have a 4-minute run in Ellunia, and then you're not wasting your crystals that fast. Solving problems like a pro. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smack that subscribe button. I am still trying to get 100k subscribers by the end of when your Ellunia run of 30 finishes. So guys, thanks a lot for watching and see you later. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.